Fellow Toastmasters, my name is Wendy Lord. I'm your District Administration Manager in District 55 this year. And if you're conducting a virtual contest this year, I have a spreadsheet for you. The first thing you're going to do is get the link. If you don't get it from me, you can get it by sending an email to helpdesk@tmd55.org. And when you enter it into your browser of choice, you'll be asked if you want to use the template, and the answer is you do. The first page is these instructions. So we've already clicked on the blue use the template button. So now we have to choose what day we're having our contest. So we'll decide to have it on the 1st of June. And we can choose 9 a.m. And in this box, we'll just decide how many clubs, areas, or divisions are holding a contest. So if you're having a joint contest with other people, we'll put 2 together or 3 together, we'll choose how many. So let's say there's 2 divisions or contests having a contest there. And you saw it just blip there. This makes sure that this table that works out what we're going to do on the day works out that there's enough contests lines here to make sure we can enter the contestants for all our contests. You may get a pop-up that says, are you willing to allow a script to run on this spreadsheet? If you trust me, the answer is yes. If you don't trust me, it won't work. So once we've done that, we're going to work through each of these tabs in turn. Now, if you understand how to run a contest and you've done it before and you understand roughly how to do it and you want to skip, then I will mark the time on the screen of when the actual Zoom instructions of what to do on the day start. If that's all you need, then I'll mark you can skip to that time. If you've never run a contest before and you want to know absolutely everything, then we'll go through absolutely everything, because absolutely everything is on this spreadsheet. So if you've never run a contest, don't worry, we're going to hold your hand all the way through it. So we're just going to work through the tabs left to right. Now, I wouldn't suggest that you start on tab 1 on day 1 and leave the Zoom running tab until the actual day of the contest. You want to start reading them all the way through now, because there's a lot to do. The first tab is the people tab. This tells you all of the people that you need in order to run a contest, and it's a lot of people. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so that we can see more of it. I would recommend that you share this sheet with all of the contest officials. The contest officials are these people in this first section. So the contest chair, the awards chair, if you're having a person who's doing that, there's the person who manages the trophies and so on, the registration chair, the toastmaster, the chief judge, all of the judges, a tiebreaker judge, your ballot counters, the timers, the sergeant at arms, the Zoom host, and anybody else that you've roped in to help you. I would share this sheet with everybody, because what you're going to put onto here is their name, their club, their area, their cell phone, and their email addresses and any other notes. And also you're going to start putting the contestant names and their forms and so on this sheet. And for the judge or the Zoom host to know who those people are is really helpful as you get closer. So to share, if you don't know how to share a Google Sheet, you go up to this top right hand side of the screen. You can click this, click anyone with the link, and then copy the link. And now you can paste that into any email that you have, and anybody will be able to see it. So you can start writing in the names of the people if you want to put their club, if it's important. Sometimes you need to know which club somebody is in, especially if they're judging, because they can't be in the same club as a contestant, for example. The area, the cell phone number. For judges, you need to have the eligibility form. Now, there are requirements for judges. That's why they have eligibility forms. So if you click this link, it will take you to the website, and there are the requirements from this year's rulebook about the eligibility for judges. And if we click this link, this takes you to the Toastmasters form where you can download the form for the judges. And also this link on the website, on the spreadsheet, also takes you to the same form. So either way, you can download that form and send it to your judges. And then in here, you can just check off when you've received it from each judge. There are also requirements for your different officials. So this is to stop the officials, the ballot counters, for example, being in the same club as the contestants and not counting properly. So again, if you click the link, it will take you to the requirements for the officials. If you want to read the entire rulebook for this year, up here, there is a link to the rulebook. I think you have to go over here, there. You can download the rulebook. Many people print it out. It's different every year. This is this year's rulebook. If you see this spreadsheet next year, hopefully we've updated it. But if not, just double check. It's a different person on the front every year. So now down here, we have all the lists of the contestants. And there's enough contestant rows for 3 areas or divisions to be combined. And again, contestants have eligibility. And it's quite complicated. So we've linked to the contestant eligibility rules, and here it's quite long. So there is an eligibility checker, which you can go to Toastmasters, and all you need to do is log in. And then you fill in the member ID and their last name. Now that requires you to have the member ID. So asking them for all of this information is really important, because if you don't get it, you can't check their eligibility the easy way. So make sure you're getting this information from whoever is giving it to you. You have to check their eligibility the day before the contest, because it can change really quickly. So if you don't check it the day before, then they might not be eligible the day of the contest. There's also a biography form that you need them to fill in for the Toastmaster so that they can do their quiz. And I've just realized there's an eligibility form for the contestants that we haven't linked to on here, but by the time you get this spreadsheet, I will make sure the eligibility form is on here as well, on this line. And then again, we've put in a space for you to check off that you've received these forms and that you've checked the eligibility. So if more than one of you is working on this spreadsheet, you can have, you don't need to be sending emails or text messages or anything. You can use the spreadsheet to see which one of you is doing work. And sometimes if the contestant isn't available in the next level contest, then you need the runners up. So that's why there are lines for runners up and checking runners up eligibility as well. So having all of this information makes for a much calmer run up to the contest. So although it seems very type A to have all of this, it does make things better for you. The next tab is this task list, and there's a lot of tasks, and probably some of them are overdue by the time you see this, but don't worry too much. The due date, the date comes over from the date we said our contest was, and then all of the due dates are calculated from that. And some of these tasks won't be applicable to your contest, so you can just NA them or just ignore them. For instance, you might not have a budget, in which case you can just ignore it. And again, you can check these off as you've done them. You can make notes to each other, which is helpful. Wherever we have something where we have something that you can use, we've linked to it. So for example, we have draft agendas. We have one for one contest, for 2 contests, and for 3 contests. So if you're combining contests again, we have draft agendas. All you need to do is fill in the people's names and the dates, and it's done for you. Down here, we've got a link to the blank certificates that you need. It tells you how many ballot counters and timers. Again, you have this on this page, but you also have it on this page, so it doesn't matter where you're looking. And then you need to do a contestant briefing and a judge briefing, and the scripts for those are linked here. This is in a document section. There's a whole bunch of things. So here are the agenda templates I just talked about. These are the scripts for the briefings. You will need scripts for the actual contest on the day later on. We'll need a dignitary list later on, and we'll need a slide deck later on. So all of those documents are on one page, but we can get to them. They're all linked from wherever we need them. We'll come back to the recommendations tab as we need, but there's all of the things that we need are linked, as well as everything we can think of or that we've thought of that you might need. And then when we get down to here, it says follow the day of instructions, and that's these on the day instructions, and we'll go through those in detail in a moment. And then after the contest, there's some things to do as well. You want to thank your team, whether you give them gifts or send them written thank yous in the mail. I would recommend that you do that, because otherwise you don't have a team next year and you're almost guaranteed to need one. So this page of recommendations is based on the experience that we've had over the last few years of doing virtual contests and finding out what works and what doesn't work. So for instance, we found that holding the chief judge and the contest chair briefings in the week before the contest is much more effective than trying to hold them right before the contest happens in a virtual world. So if you've never run a contest before the contest actually starts, the chief judge has to brief the judges, the timers, and the ballot counters and tell them what the rules are around what they're looking for, what they can and can't do, what they need to do in their judging, and so on. And the contest chair briefs the contestants about where their stage is, what they can do, what they should do if the electricity goes out, and so on. And the Toastmaster sits in on that briefing to find out how to pronounce their names and things like that. And there's a script for both of those things, so that every contest is run the same way, so that they're all fair. And those briefings happen normally in a face-to-face contest just before the contest, but in a virtual world, it's so complicated. There's so much happening, and you're trying to move people between breakout rooms. It just makes things complicated. So we recommend that you do them the week before in one evening, and limit them to the people that need to be present. So don't try and put your VPE or your area director in one of those briefings. Don't try and make them one after the other so that one person can be in both of them. Just limit them to the people that need to be in them, and let the contest chair and the chief judge schedule them at their leisure, so that it just makes it as easy as possible. And one of the things the contest chair has to do is get the order that the contestants will speak in, and there is a link here to a randomizer. You just put the names in here, and then you click randomize, and it will randomize their names in a list. So that gives you your speaking order. And there's two there that I haven't linked, but I will link it by the time you see this. There's some guidance here on how to name your judges. The guidance from Toastmasters International is that the judges should remain as anonymous as possible, and this is the way to do this that we found as easy as possible. I will show you some of the things we found on Zoom that will help you when we get to that tab. For voting, the best way we've found of voting is to use text messages outside of the Zoom platform. If you try and use Zoom, we end up with judges accidentally chatting everybody and telling them their results, which is not a good look. So during the chief judge briefing, they should just text the judges so that they know they've got a text message in their phone, and then the judges just reply to that in the time. So there's some very specific instructions here for the chief judge, and these are the easiest way that we found. There's some instructions about pinning timers for the contest chair and the contestants. Again, this is the easiest way that we found to do this. There's some recommendations for Zoom hosts. We recommend that you choose your Zoom host based on the people you know who are confident with Zoom. Not particularly someone who you think is a good contest official or a very good Toastmaster, or, it doesn't actually need to be a Toastmaster if you can explain how a contest works to them. They do need to roughly know how a contest works, and you want at least one co-host. But you want somebody who is confident about moving people around between breakout rooms, who knows, who can watch a chat and their text messages and listen to what's going on and do all three things at the same time and move their fingers. So you need someone who's confident with technology. And you need somebody in the room. It doesn't need to be the Zoom host, but it has to be you or the Toastmaster or the contest chair, or just someone you have in the room who is confident enough to keep talking in the face of difficulties, whether that's the ballot is taking ages, whether the judges are taking their time to send in the ballots, whether there's technical difficulties. You need one person who is willing to keep talking and keep the audience entertained if you have troubles. And again, it doesn't matter who it is, as long as there is one person who is willing to step into that silence and keep talking. There's some instructions about recording. I would start recording early because then you don't forget. Better to have a too long recording and be able to cut it than too short and have forgotten and missed recording some of the contestants' speech. And then there's some instructions about protests. So far, I've only done one protest in the Zoom contest. I've seen probably 400 or 500 Zoom contests, so you'll be fine. Again, there's some things about talking. Keep talking until it's over. And some instructions about more communication is better. Do much more communication ahead of time than you think you need to. Just keep telling everybody everything. This page is a checklist. It's just a trigger list to make you think, have I thought of everything? We will keep adding to it as we think of more things that you might not have thought of. It's just there to remind you of things. If you're in District 55 and you're an area director or a division director this year, you have been given Zoom links. These links are here with instructions about how to open the Zoom link and claim the host. There are some missing. They'll be there by the time that you need them. If you don't know how to use them or you can't follow the instructions, that's fine. My phone number's there and you'll be able to. Okay, so now we come to the on the day part of this, which is the big part. So let's say we said at the beginning that we're going to have two contests. So what we're going to do first is enter the number of contestants for each of our contests. So let's say we've got Area 1 and Area 2. And in Area 1, we have 2 contestants for our humorous contest, and we have 3 contestants for our international contest. But one contestant is taking part in both contests. So there's actually only 4 unique people. Right? There's 5 contestants altogether, but one of them is taking part in both contests. So it's only 4 different people. And in Area 2, we've got 2 contestants in each contest, and they're 2 different people. So there's a total of 4 different people. And between our 2 contests, we want to have a 10-minute break. And the contest start time is copied over from the front page where we put it in earlier. So we know we're starting at 9 o'clock. So what this page will do is now calculate, based on the start time, what time we need to be opening our Zoom room all the way through to what time we'll be finished, which is at 12:30. Now, this 12:30 sounds really late, 3.5 hours for 2 contests. It is calculating on a fairly generous time. It's possible that you will be finished earlier if everybody is fast. It's also possible that you'll finish later. In my experience, contests don't go very quickly. Things tend to take longer than you think they will, so this has a fairly generous time. So the way this page works is it's the minute-by-minute instructions about what we're going to do during the contest. So it starts at 8 o'clock and the Zoom Master is going to open and set up the Zoom room. So the Zoom Master's instructions are in pink. And what set up the Zoom room means is these rows here. So assign the Zoom co-host, so hopefully they've signed on at the same time. Put the agenda into the chat, create the 3 breakout rooms, and remove the participant pictures. And in a moment, I'll open Zoom and I'll show you how to do those things. And then the next thing he or she is going to do is facilitate the audio and visual tests. So that means when the contest chair, the chief judge, the Toastmaster, the contestants, as they arrive, we're going to make sure that their audio and their video is working. And we're going to make sure the timers test their background. And so those things are going to happen over the next 20-25 minutes. And then once everybody is tested, we're going to share one of the slides from the slide deck. So if I click here, there is a slide deck. And you can look at these slides ahead of time. The reason we have these is because if you're not talking and a visitor comes into the room and there's a blank screen, they have no idea what's going on. They don't know if they're in the right place or if what time anything's starting. Are they too early? Did everything start and nobody's there? So these slides are just here to help them. The one slide that's important is this one. This online speech contest statement is important that people see it because Toastmasters International require it. So there's some slides which assume a briefings are going to take place. There's a slide that assumes that briefings are not going to take place. There's slides for the minute of silence. There are slides for the time when you're collecting ballots, for break times, and for beginning again. You can keep these slides, you can change them if you don't think they're funny. We would like you to advertise the district conference, but other than that and this piece of legalese from TI, those are the only things that are obligatory. The rest you can change as you like. But we would recommend that you have something on the screen so that people know they're in the right place. So if you didn't hold the briefings already, you'll want to hold the briefings now. And these lines are the instructions about doing those things. Now, if you are going to move the chief judge into the chief judge's briefing room to do the briefing, do not move the judges until all the contestants have been moved, and don't say anything out loud that would allow the judges to be identified, because the whole idea is that we're trying to keep them secret. Try not to let the judges announce, "I'm a judge." That happens. And the reason we take pictures off earlier is so that we can't tell who's who. Their forms are here again, so if you get to the day and you don't have the script or the judging form and you're on this sheet and you're panicking, then they're here. I would also print this sheet out so that you can check off. The reason there's checkboxes here is so that you can check off where you've got to on the page. And if you print this page on single-sided and landscape, it should print fairly well onto the page. Around 8:45, visitors will start to arrive, and the presiding officer or somebody else should start welcoming them and be talking to them, because, you know, if they were walking into a contest in a room, we would, you know, be saying hi and welcome and we're so glad you're here and so on. And walking into a silent room is no more fun in Zoom than it is anywhere else. So have someone allocated, even if it's not the presiding officer, to welcome people. And then it's time for the Zoom master to prepare for the contest to start. So that means closing the briefing rooms, mute everybody. There's a button which I will show you which mutes everyone, and then get the presiding officer to unmute themselves. That it's quicker than trying to mute people individually afterwards. Then you want to unshare the slides, and I would start recording now because then you don't forget. Then the next part, all of this is really runs like a contest does. So the presiding officer calls the meeting to order and welcomes the people. That's just like a meeting. Welcomes the dignitaries. If you click here, our current dignitary list is available to you. Someone does an inspirational thought. That's on the task list to have asked someone to do that, and introduces the Toastmaster of the day. And then the way, if you're doing more than one area or division, the official way to run this is you do the humorous contest and then the international contest. You announce the results. You finish those two contests and that entire area, and you're done. And then you start the second area. So you give out the trophies. The whole meeting is done and closed, and then you start the second one. So that's the way this runs. So you start off with the humorous contest script. The Zoom master turn off the chat because people will use it if it's available. Anybody turn off their video if they don't do it. The contest chair, as of 2021, should be introducing the contestants. There is slides for the minute of silence. It depends how quick you are. If you're a little nervous, then don't share the slides for the minute of silence. It's a surprisingly short amount of time. So if you're not terribly confident, you might not want to do that. The other thing to watch out for is just making sure that the last contestant turns off their microphone and video, and that the next one is appearing on video. Just watching that's happening. After the last contestant, the ballots will be sent, and so you just be aware that those are being sent. And there is a slide for collecting ballots, and then we're waiting for the chief judge to announce verbally that all the ballots are received. And the officials want to be watching their chat in case there's a protest. If there's a protest, someone needs to have been nominated as the person who entertains the crowd while the whole thing is sorted out. And on this recommendations list, it tells you what to do if there's a protest. So you can flip back to this page if there's a protest. Once all the ballots have been received, you're ending the contest for that first humorous contest, and then you start the international contest straight away. You do exactly the same thing all over again, except with a different script. And then when you get to the end of the international, the chief judge announces that he has all the ballots. The chief judge, the ballot counters go to the ballot counting room to go and count, and the Toastmaster does the contestant interviews. And at this point you can have the chat and the reactions back on because you want the audience to be engaged with the contestants. This is the entertainment part. The chief judge, make sure you've read the results conditions before you announce the winners. We have had more than one occasion where we've announced the wrong winner. There is a results form that's available. There is also on here a counting sheet. So the way that the contests go, the person in first place gets 3 points, the person in second place gets 2 points, and the person in third place gets 1 point. And I struggle to add that up. So this sheet will add it up for you. And you can share this in the breakout room, and and nobody else will be able to see it. So once you've got the winners, the chief judge should let the contest chair know, because the contest chair is going to make the announcement. Once the contestant interviews are done, the Toastmaster hands back to the contest chair. The contest chair announces the results, and that is the last thing that is said in the meeting. So if there are announcements or anything, if you want to thank people, if you want to say anything else, then that should come before announcing the results. So if this is the last contest of the evening, it should be announce the results, adjourn the meeting. In this case, we're going to have another contest. So what we do is announce the results, and then the presiding officer announces a break, and then we share one of the break slides and we go to break. When we come back from break, we do it all over again. We don't need the dignitary list again. The presiding officer calls us to return. He gives the controls to the Toastmaster. We do exactly the same thing all over again until we get to the very last moment when the contest chair announces the results of that second contest. And then we adjourn. That's it, done. You've succeeded. Hurrah. Now, afterwards, there are some admin tasks that need to be done. There are some official forms that need to be signed and sent to the contest chair and the judge needs to send, the timers need to send forms to the judge. The contest chair has to fill in the notification of the contest winner and send it to the next level up so that they know who's coming to them. So those are listed here and all the forms are linked. But then you're effectively done. You can go sit in a dark room and drink, probably, but you'll have finished your contest and you can be very happy because it's not an easy thing to do, but it's very, very satisfying when you get to this point. On this tab, there's just a list of all of those resources, all of those links that are spread around this spreadsheet all over the place are linked on this one page so that you can find them quickly. And the last tab is this counter sheet. So there were a number of times where I said, oh, I'll update that before you see this. Once you've pressed that blue button to make a copy, you have your own copy of this spreadsheet and it's not being updated from me. You can make whatever changes you like, which is good, but you won't get updates. So if you run a contest, if you use it and run a contest, then I would recommend the next time you run a contest, just go back to the original link and make a new copy, because whatever updates we've done in between, you'll get the new updates and hopefully you'll have a better experience because we'll have fixed whatever problems that you have. And we'd love to have your questions or recommendations or suggestions. This is the first time we've done this. You're the first people to be using it. I have no idea where the bugs are and I'd love to know. So if you are not confident with Zoom, let me give you a little bit of Zoom. So we talked about adding a file to a Zoom chat. So I don't know if you saw because I did it so quickly. Let me do it again. So down here, I went to the chat, which looks like a little speech bubble. And then down here at the bottom, there's a pencil, a smiley face, and then a sort of rectangle thing. And I click on that and I can upload a file from my computer. I would put the agenda on my desktop probably before I start, just so it's handy. And then I can upload it. I don't have one right there now. We'll just pick a random thing. And then you just click this arrow to send. And then it uploads it so that everybody can see it. Now, the only people that can see it are the people that are already logged on. So you may have to do that several times. To create the breakout rooms, I click this down here with the 4 squares. What you want to do is assign manually so that you can make sure that you put people in as you can decide how to put people in. And you'll want 3 breakout rooms. So I'm just going to click that up arrow, click create, and then rename them. So you'll want a chief judge room, a contest chair room, and a ballot counting room. Yes. And I don't have any friends at the moment, but when you open the rooms, and there's participants, their names will be listed here, and next to them there's a down arrow. You can click the down arrow and it will say move, and it'll give you the 3 rooms, and you can decide which one to move them to. See, to turn off the chat, you click these 3 dots and participant can chat. What you want to leave on is hosts and co-hosts, because then people can chat with you if there's a problem, but they can't chat with each other and distract people. To turn off the pictures, you do hide profile pictures. So you can see the check mark is on there. Enable waiting room stops people coming in during speeches, so you'll want to make sure that that's checked. I tend to turn some of these off, these things that are not required, like sharing whiteboards, just so that people can't do them accidentally during a speech contest, just because I don't want them to. Let's see. And if you want to record, you just press this recording button. And if you want to share, let me see. If you are sharing slides and you also want to share music, if you go to YouTube and type 80s upbeat music and find a channel, find a YouTube video, they're usually hours long, so you didn't need to worry about it. Click play so that it's playing on your speakers or wherever you're listening to the Zoom sound. And then down here in the corner it says share sound. It's like the world's tiniest box. And then when you share, the Zoom room will hear the music. So I often do that at the beginning when I'm trying to set myself up and I don't want to talk to people, but I want the room to be welcoming. Okay, I think that's everything I can think of. Please, my email is here. Please send me emails. Tell me what works, what doesn't work, if there's an issue with something, if there's something I haven't included that you need to know. Anything but that you want to tell us, please tell us. We want to make this really easy for you because we know how hard it is when you don't know how to do this. And we hope you have a really successful contest, because contests are the most fun in Toastmasters.